Hi, friends. We really wanted you to get to know our new organist and pianist, Leah Bartlam. So I sat down with her this week and we asked a few questions. We had a good little chat that I wanted to share with you so that you can get a much better feel for just who is Leah Bartlam. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited to have you on the team here doing ministry at WBC. So thank you again. And I know this is a little weird time to be starting a new job, especially one with such like a public face and things like this. So I'm glad we're able to do this media way of introducing you to your friends and family here at WBC already. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. And so let's just get started, shall we? So first things first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history? What's a good story maybe or two that sheds some light on who is Leah Bartlam?
Let's start at the beginning, I guess. I come from a great Christian family. I have two younger brothers. My family has moved a lot. I've lived all over Ohio, up near the Cleveland area, near the Columbus area, now in the Cincinnati area. I've also even lived in Alabama and Iowa for a short while. So I kind of feel like I'm from all over, but I really love being in Cincinnati. We've been here for 5 years. We moved in my senior year of high school. So I love the area. I'm always excited to meet new people. Um, I ended up going to Cedarville University for piano. I started playing piano when I was very young, and I didn't really consider it to be a good career option until partway through high school, which is actually when I discovered that I really enjoyed doing church music. I'd always been kind of involved in like choirs and things, but my sophomore year of high school, I was working as a piano teacher and a tutor for my neighbor. They had a daughter who's younger than I was, so I helped her with some of her school subjects. And I was looking at the paper that they had sitting out, and I saw that there was a local church that was advertising for a pianist for their Sunday morning services. And I thought, hey, maybe I could do that, like that's something I might be capable of. So I just called and I ended up going in, and it's obviously I haven't met, the congregation here, but it sounds like the congregation would be very similar. It's kind of smaller church, older people, like really wonderful to work with. I loved being their pianist. And so I really just loved that whole experience. I had that job for a little over a year until my family moved again. But then I knew that I really wanted to keep up that path of being involved in church music, especially through the worship services by playing piano. So at my school at Cedarville, I was the pianist of the local church that I was a member of there for 4 years during the early service, which meant I had to leave my dorm room at 7:15 every Sunday morning. So thankful I don't have to do that anymore. But it was a good experience, and I loved that church. And then when I was home on breaks, I also picked up organ at my family's church, and so I've been the substitute organist there for the past couple years as well. And I just am very excited to have a new church and a new congregation to serve.
That's awesome. Oh, great. So tell me a little bit more about your family. You said you have two younger brothers?
Yeah, I have two younger brothers. One of them is 14, one of them is 18. Um, all three of us were homeschooled all the way through. My brother is actually going to go to Cedarville this fall, so I'm kind of sad that I'm going to miss him by a year, but that's okay. And he's actually planning to play piano for the same church I play piano for. So I feel like kind of the same path going here.
Changing gears a little bit, how have you experienced Jesus Christ in your life recently? You said you grew up in a Christian family. Tell us a little bit about your recent experience relationship with Jesus.
I would have to say the most recent thing I've experienced is I applied to law school this semester, and I decided to go to University of Cincinnati. Um, but really, that decision was made in less than a week's time. Um, I would say probably the beginning of somewhere in the middle of February is when I got my first acceptance letter. And it was very stressful because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what was the smartest place to end up, financially, academically, all those sorts of things. And in the middle of March is when it really came down to it. I had two acceptance deadlines on the same week. I got an extension for one that was earlier. So I had three schools I had to apply to in a Wednesday in March. And I just really didn't know what was going to happen with all that. But I feel like the Lord really just opened and closed doors in just like a matter of days. And it had to have been Him, because there's absolutely no way I would have been able to make that decision otherwise. Just within a couple of days, I found an opportunity at Cincinnati that I was eligible for, and I was accepted for it. And then at my other school, I found out some things that made it less likely that I was going to go there. And then at another school, I found out some more information that made it seem less likely I was going to fit in well there. And so literally just within a couple days, I found out, or was able to make that decision. And so I really am thankful that the Lord led me through that, because otherwise
Absolutely.
I trying to decide.
No, I mean, I've done grad school myself, and it's a harrowing experience, putting yourself out there like that. It's not only is it like new places, new experiences, but I mean, this is sort of like your goals are on the line. Do they accept me? Do they not? What does this mean if they don't? And then when you do, like you said, you have these options. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like your whole life is on the line. Do I make the right choice or not? So fantastic. I'm glad God opened those doors and closed other ones and made this, just an experience that you can be comfortable in and feel the peace of God there. So that's great stuff. So,
Yeah, I actually do have to say this job is one of the things that helped me make that decision, because
right.
yeah, when I finally decide, okay, it's probably going to be Cincinnati, I looked, because I knew I would need a job, to get me through a couple jobs. And I just literally opened up, I think it was Indeed, and I was like, okay, the best option right now would be if I could at all find a church job, because I just knew I wanted a full-time church job, or like a position as a regular pianist somewhere. And I opened it up and I just searched church jobs in the area, and this job was the first one that came up. And I like looked into it and read the description and everything. I was like, this would be perfect.
Awesome. Well, we think it's a godsend thing as well. And so I'll tell you from my own experience that you're going to have a whole lot of people that are come up around you and mother you and grandmother you and all these sorts of things. And so this is one of these family churches that is going to surround you and want to ask you a whole lot of questions about what kind of law you're planning on studying, and and then all these sorts of things. So you're going to have a really good support group here at WBC, and we're glad you're here for that. My two questions out of this experience of law school and everything is, the first one is, how is the LSAT, and is it as terrible as everybody says it is? And two, what kind of law?
Okay, well, first one, I took the LSAT in my junior year of college, so it's been a little bit. It was fairly awful to try to sit through. Let's see, if I'm remembering correctly, it was about 4 hours long, and you sit in a room with people you don't know, and you have to be absolutely silent, and you're sitting there looking at this piece of paper that like basically determines whether or not you'll be able to go to grad school. So it was pretty harrowing. Yeah, but I did have a lot of good prep that I had done before, so that was my saving grace there, because I had done enough preparation that I at least felt okay about the question. And then type of law, right now I think I want to do criminal law. That's my plan, but we'll see. Obviously that could change once I get into law school.
All right, thank you, Leah. That's great. So tell us about a time when you knew you wanted to do church music? You mentioned in it, you know, in high school, you thought this could be something I want, you know, I could do. But what about that time where you really were just like, yes, this is something I don't just can do, but I love doing?
I feel like I've had a couple of those experiences, so I think I'll talk about two of them, if that's all right.
Sure.
The first one was obviously when I got that first like real church job. I ended up getting two around the same time, oddly enough, because the church that my family normally went to, we went on Saturday nights. The Saturday night service, in which I've never gone to a church that's had that since, but that's irrelevant. Uh, the Saturday night service and the regular pianist started to need subs more and more. We were both in high school, and she was just a lot busier than I was, so she needed a sub, and so I filled in for her a lot of the time on Saturday nights, and then Sunday mornings I would go and play for this other church. And from that, like I was doing a few other odd jobs at the time, you know, like working a few different places, but that was the only one that, those were the only jobs that I like really truly enjoyed doing and like just loved to do. And then when I got to Cedarville, I started going to this church without the intention of playing piano for them. I didn't even know they needed a pianist. It just happened to be a church that like I knew about, and they had people who were willing to drive me because I didn't have a car. So yeah, I went there. But after I showed up, I found out that the pianist was ready to retire. He didn't want to do it anymore. And so they really wanted me to play for the early services. And at first I was kind of hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I necessarily want to get into this with, you know, just starting college and will I have time for it and all that. But once I played a service, I was like, yeah, I have to keep doing this. I'd almost forgotten how much I enjoyed doing it. I just didn't feel like stopping.
Mm-hmm. All right, last question. What are you looking forward to the most ministering here at WBC?
I'm really just excited to meet the congregation and to know who I'm actually playing for. I'm really excited to be involved, go to choir rehearsals, handbell rehearsals, you know, if we have any of those, and just really connect with people through music. And it's just hard to play for people I haven't met yet, you know. I'm just really excited to meet people and to actually worship with them in person.
Great. Well, I think everybody here is excited to meet you too. So thank you, Leah, for joining me on this interview. And thank you, everyone who's been watching. Keep those prayers coming that we make it through this virus and this time, folks. And let's get together soon. Thanks again, Leah.
Thank you.